champions, Indianapolis Colts.
This is a special bye-week edition of the Indianapolis Colts Journey to the Super Bowl podcast. My name's Dakota Lee Tracy Bernard Burrows. If you would please hit that subscribe button and pledge your fandom to the Indianapolis Colts. This episode may go on a little bit longer, so just sit back, relax, take a sip of your tea or whatever else you like to drink. All I want to do is improve, so if you got criticism, just hit the comments. I mean, what a game. Going into Kansas City and coming out the victors. 11-point underdogs. And we still won. Before the season even started, Kansas City already checked off this game as a win. The Sunday Night Football predictions, everyone said the Chiefs were going to win, including the Colts' former coach, Tony Dungy. The only person that I truly believe thought the Colts were going to win was Chris Carter. But screw all the haters. Screw all the doubters, because we won, and, well, let's talk about the game. I think the starting 5 offensive linemen all deserved a game ball. If you haven't seen highlights of these guys play against Kansas City, you need to go back right now and check it out. A lot, if not most, of the plays, the offensive linemen were driving defensive linemen into the ground and making them eat dirt. And I'm not just talking about Quentin Nelson this time, I'm talking about all 5 of the offensive linemen. So far this season, Mark Lewinsky and Braden Smith has been disappointing me, but they're still pretty good players. And this week they played pretty well. Braden Smith helped us get a crucial 4th and 1 conversion. Speaking of 4th down conversions, we had the longest active streak for 4th down conversions. 7 straight, matter of fact. Marlon Mack ran for 132 yards. He showed up this week, and the offensive line is a big factor in that. Jacoby didn't have no outstanding stats, but guess what? Brissett is a new word for luck. People aren't going to say good luck anymore. They're going to say a good Brissett. In all seriousness, face it, Jacoby Brissett is our franchise quarterback. If you like it or if you don't like it, you're going to have to deal with it, because he's going to lead us to the promised land of the Super Bowl. Speaking of Jacoby, Jim Irsay said this was the greatest win in franchise history. I don't believe that for a second, but I do believe that it was the greatest moment in the Jacoby era so far, because it proves that we can win without Andrew Luck. It proves that we are still the best. Jacoby isn't a flashy passer. He probably isn't going to break a whole lot of passing records, but Jacoby is a team player. He's a natural leader, and that's what helps us win games. Defensively, we had a phenomenal game. We limited Kelsey, we contained Mahomes, and our secondary stepped up. Mahomes did not pass for 400 yards. Corey Willis and George Odom are giving some serious competition for Hooker and Geathers for their spots. Corey Willis continuing his phenomenal season, and George Odom had that next man up mentality this week since Geathers had a concussion, and well, he did not disappoint me at all. He made some great plays. He made some plays that got called back because of penalties that could have been a real momentum shifter. Bobby Okereke also stepped up this week as well. Not that he hasn't produced anything, but I feel like the Kansas City game was his breakout game of the year. And what about Justin Houston coming back home to Kansas City and beating them? He didn't just beat them, he had a terrific game. He got a sack. He also made a game-winning play on 4th and 1. But think about it, we beat Kansas City in Arrowhead Stadium without Darius Leonard, Malik Hooker, and Clayton Geathers. All 3 of them key defensive starters. And we showed up and showed out on defense. The only disappointing thing about Sunday's game is Kamoko Toure broke his ankle, so he's going to be out for the season. Not just disappointing for the team, but also disappointing for him himself. He was having a terrific season so far, a breakout season at that. He was rated the number 1 edge rusher in 5 weeks, even missing a game. You know, after losing to the Raiders, everyone thought we were done for the season, basically. Losing to a trash team like them, right? Well, the Raiders ended up beating the Bears this week. Raiders may not be as bad as everyone thought they are. I feel like I pretty much covered the game against the Chiefs. There's really not a whole lot of talk about it other than the fact that we ran the ball a whole lot. Wilkins ended up getting some carries, and so did Hines. Hines ended up catching some balls. And defensively, the secondary stepped up. Heck, earlier in the week, I saw the Colts bring up Shaquille Taylor from the practice squad. And honestly, I was happy about that decision because he played really well in the preseason, and he's a rookie, of course. I didn't expect to see him against the Chiefs, but he got to play a little bit because of some injuries. I can't really tell you how well he played because it was hard to tell when offensively the Chiefs wasn't doing anything. Other than that, I feel like that wraps up the Kansas City. Let's start off this bye week edition by evaluating our draft class. Our first draft pick was the second round, 34th overall pick, Rock Ya-Sin. There's honestly not a whole lot to say about him. I don't think it was a bad draft pick by no means. It's still the beginning of the season, so most of these draft picks, it's going to be kind of hard to evaluate. But I really think the last couple games, he's been coming around. I feel like fans and even the team had a whole lot of high expectations for Rock Ya-Sin. And it's not that he's not going to meet those expectations, but I don't believe he's met them yet. It's still early in the season to tell, but the last couple games he's been doing phenomenal. I'm not going to hate on him. He's a great player. He was even a part of that secondary that helped contain the passing game against the Kansas City Chiefs. As of right now, he has a pass deflection and 17 tackles. We had 2 other second-round draft picks. The next draft pick was Ben Banogu. Right now, he has 5 tackles and a half sack. As of right now, I'm not going to say much about him. He's a rookie that I don't think plays a whole lot. He does play every game. I just don't think he gets a lot of snaps. I do hear his name in some plays, and I like hearing people's names, man. That means you're good. It means you're doing something for the team. Our last second round pick was Paris Campbell, and this is a player I really wanted to talk about this week because I read online that he's been a disappointment up to this point for the Colts, but I disagree. He's only had 10 receptions for 62 yards and a touchdown so far, but I don't think he's had the opportunity to be a disappointment. It's not like he's dropped any passes, he just hasn't had much thrown to him. Not only that, he had an injury in the preseason. He missed last week due to the same injury. So give him some time to heal and prove to you. And not only that, give him time to be able to make the plays. Let Jacoby pass the ball to him enough times before you say he's a disappointment. Our third round pick was a player that I think played really well in the Kansas City game that showed some really high potential for the future of our team. And that's Bobby Okereke. He's been playing more since Darius Leonard's been hurt. And I think he's been proving that he's a solid rookie linebacker that we got out of the draft for a good reason. So far, he has 20 tackles. And if you ask me, he's exceeded expectations, especially the couple games that Darius Leonard was out. I would keep an eye on this guy. This next one is probably our best pick out of this entire draft. And that's a 4th round pick of Khari Willis. Malik Hooker got hurt early, so Khari Willis was able to start. And not only that, before he was starting, he was making some big plays coming off the bench. As of right now, he has 24 tackles and a pass deflection. I personally think that he has a great opportunity to become a candidate for Rookie of the Year. We just got to see what the rest of the season has in store for him. We had 5 more picks in the draft, but I can't really evaluate them because they haven't really played. So if they do get the chance to play, I will let you know my input on these guys. This past offseason, we only had 2 big free agent signings. The first one was Devin Funchess. It's disappointing to see a player to go down after 1 game, but we're still doing good without him. We didn't sign him because we needed him. We signed him to be a good complement for T.Y. I don't know when he's scheduled to return. I hope he returns soon, though, because he showed potential in week 1. It looks like he fights for the yards that he earns. But if he doesn't come back this year, he's probably not going to be re-signed for next year. If he does come back, I could see us re-signing him for 1 more year. But then if he can't stay healthy, then they're going to kick him. Our second big free agent signing was Justin Houston. And being in the league for 8 years, he's still shown that he could still play at a high level. In the first 5 games, he's recorded 2 sacks and 15 tackles. I don't know how long he plans on staying in Indy, but I believe it's a great pickup. And we're not even halfway through the season yet. Our passing game isn't the number 1 passing game in the league, but it's still a pretty effective part of the game that we can utilize anytime we want. T.Y. Hilton, of course, is leading the team in all categories when it comes to receiving. He's 4th in the league in receiving touchdowns. T.Y. has 24 receptions for 232 yards. This is kind of a quiet stat, but with only 7 receptions, Zach Pascal is 3rd on the team in yards with 133. He also has a touchdown. I believe Zach Pascal has proved that he can be a number 2 receiver if we give him that opportunity. There was a lot of guys last year that I liked. Some of them ended up getting waived and cut and traded this year. But Zach Pascal is someone that we still have, and I liked him last year. He played really well last year when he did play. But now I think he has a bigger platform, a bigger opportunity to play more and to earn his spot on the team. And being our number 2 receiver goes back to Devin Funchess. Devin Funchess was supposed to be a compliment to T.Y. I think Pascal could be a really good compliment in the next year or two. Maybe even by the end of this year. Paris Campbell and Deon Cain, I don't believe has the opportunity to be put in the spotlight. And to me, it looks like Jacoby likes to try to pass to everybody. He has so much confidence in all his receivers. Some people might think that they're kind of becoming a disappointment for the team, but really, neither one of them really had any plays going toward them. And the plays that I seen go to Deon Cain, the big plays, every time, there's always a pass interference call. But I like Jacoby making those passes that shows confidence in Deon Cain. And then Paris Campbell, he missed the last game because of an injury. There's still a lot to play this year, and I think Paris Campbell's going to prove to everybody that we drafted him for a good reason, just like all the other draft picks that we like to talk about. Since Jacoby has become the leader of the team, we've done so well. We've only lost 2 games, and we barely lost both of them. A lot of people could say that Jacoby was the reason why we lost against Oakland, but what are you going to do when your receivers ain't going to catch the ball? Jacoby is wise beyond his years. The picks that I seen him throw, they weren't completely horrible passes, in my opinion. They were very good defensive plays. I did mention at the beginning of the year that Jacoby is going to make some mistakes. You just can't dwell on it. And guess what? We've been succeeding with the few mistakes that Jacoby has made. I would rather him make mistakes now than later. I'd rather him make mistakes early in the season rather than late in the season when we're fighting for a playoff spot or we're in the playoffs. I feel like for the most part, Jacoby has won over the fan base. He's definitely won over his team. And if he hasn't won you over, the fact that he's won the team over is what should win you over. On Facebook, people were trashing Jacoby just because of his stats from the last game. Dude, we did not need to pass the ball. All we needed to do was run it down the Chiefs' throat. And that's what we did. I've seen Jacoby Brissett change plays on the spot many times. And I think that's a great trait that any quarterback should have. But not every quarterback does have. You can't expect a quarterback that was backing up this franchise quarterback to come in right after the franchise quarterback just says, oh, I'm going to retire, and expect him to play at the level that that franchise quarterback got to in the 7 years he was in the league. You're not going to find immediate results. But over time, I think you'll see what I'm seeing. I'm just really tired of everybody hating on Jacoby. And we're not even a losing team right now. Whatever Frank Reich and Jacoby is doing, it's working. I wouldn't be complaining right now because we're 3-2. Last year at this time, we were 1-4. There's not many teams that went to the playoffs starting 1-5. There's definitely not many teams that's won in the playoffs starting 1-5. Whatever you do, don't doubt my Colts. Don't doubt my quarterback. Don't doubt us when we're 1-5. Don't doubt us in the playoffs. Don't doubt us when we're 11-point underdogs. Never doubt the Colts. Otherwise, you'll lose money. We overcome any obstacle that all the haters and doubters want to put in our way. I guarantee you, if you turn it to NFL Network right now, they won't be talking about the Colts. They won't be talking about Justin Houston's big game against Kansas City. They won't be talking about the Colts winning without Malik Hooker, Clayton Geathers, and Darius Leonard. They'll be talking about that one touchdown that Mahomes scored against the Colts. Why is there so much hate toward the Colts? From the NFL, the AFC South is starting to shape up great. The Texans and the Colts are going to fight all the way to the end. Last week, both of us won. The Texans beat the Falcons this past week, and that wasn't really a surprise for me. The Falcons have a horrible defense, and I don't think their offensive line is much better. The Texans scored 53 points on this Falcons team. That's a lot of points. But the Falcons also scored 32 points, which is also a lot of points. The Texans offense showed how bad the Falcons defense is, and the Falcons offense showed how bad the Texans defense is or can be. Either way, it's a race to the top. And our bye week, they're going to be playing the Kansas City Chiefs. Despite Kansas City losing to us, they're one of the best teams in the league. They're at 4-1 right now. And it looks like Patrick Patrick Mahomes is going to play this week. I don't know Tyreek Hill's status, but I do know he was practicing during the week before our game, so I'm assuming he's going to get to play this week. If he does play, that's going to establish a huge disadvantage for the Texans. We were the first team to beat the Chiefs this year, and we're carrying that into the bye week, and hopefully we can carry that into the Texans game without the Texans beating the Chiefs. The Jacksonville Jaguars lost to the Panthers 34-27. It was a close game, and Gardner Minshew had a great game as well. I would have said that this game determined the season, but I think we got to wait until next week. If they can't beat the good teams, they're not going to be able to win the division. And this week they're playing against another good team and the New Orleans Saints. Last week, they played against a backup quarterback that ended up beating them by 7 points. This week, they're playing against another good backup quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater has been able to hold up this team since Drew Brees got hurt earlier in the season. The Saints are looking to stay on top of their division, so they're going to give Jacksonville a tough time this week. It's one thing when you play a tough team and you keep it close. It's another thing when you beat them. Some teams you can afford to lose against, other teams you can't. And maybe they can afford to lose against this team right now. It's just going to be tough for them to come back. They're going to be a game behind if they lose. More and more you lose, the more and more confidence you lose. So far, the only teams the Jaguars were able to beat was the Tennessee Titans and the Denver Broncos that has only won one game. This past week, the Tennessee Titans lost against the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are a pretty good team, so I kind of expected this. I just didn't expect it to be such a close game. I don't think the Bills are given the credit for how good they actually are, but the Titans did hold them to only 14 points this past week. This next week, the Tennessee Titans are playing against the Broncos. I don't really see the Broncos winning, but if the Titans continue to play bad against bad teams, they're not going to be able to make playoffs or even win the division. You also got to win division games. I'm not too concerned about the Titans at this moment just because they've already lost 2 division games, and one of them was against the Jaguars. Like I said, they're playing against the Broncos this week. I feel like the Broncos have some good receivers. They can easily pull it off if they try, but I don't know if they can. They're the Broncos. The Broncos haven't done well all year long. I just think they have the ability to if they put everything together right. Let's just hope average Joe can come out and win the game against the Titans. When Devin Funchess got hurt, I thought I heard them say that he's going to be out between 6 and 8 weeks. So maybe he can come back before the playoffs and help us with a playoff run. I know he probably will be out until after the Texans game for sure, or maybe he won't return. I don't know. Then we got Malik Hooker that's out with the torn meniscus. He's wanting to return for the Texans game, so hopefully he can come back. But if he doesn't, I'm not going to be upset because George Odom and Corey Willis played tremendous in the Kansas City game, and Corey Willis has been proven time and time again why he should be a starter. If Malik Hooker comes back and he can't stay healthy, his spot is going to be in major danger. Clayton Geathers' spot is in major danger right now. He has a concussion, and last year he was out for part of the season because of a concussion. I love Clayton Geathers. He's one of my favorites on the defensive side of the ball, but if he can't stay healthy, then we're not going to be able to keep him. And his starting job is definitely in danger because of how well Corey Willis is playing. And George Odom can easily steal a position too, because he played really well in the Kansas City game. If he continues doing that, he might be able to insert himself into the starting lineup. There's some real stiff competition for those safeties right there. Darius Leonard is going to be coming back in the Texans game because he's cleared to play now, so we don't have to worry about him much longer. But to be fair, I'm not too worried about him right now because Bobby Okoriki's been playing at a high level as well. The number one guy that I'm disappointed to see get hurt is Kemoko Turay. He's out for the season. He was a really good player, and he was going to help us take that to the next level in the playoffs. Kemoko is definitely a next generation type of player. Robert Mathis has been helping him a lot on that line. I'm glad Robert Mathis is on the sideline, and I'm glad he's helped coaching some of our younger players. It's a thrill to see our players play well, right? It's also a thrill whenever we do play in general. So it kind of sucks we have a bye week, but at the same time, it rests our guys so they can play better against the Texans next week. I don't know what you'll be doing this week, but I'll be watching some of those AFC South games. I'll see you guys next time on the Indianapolis Colts Journey to the Super Bowl podcast. I'm Dakota Lee Tracy, Bernard Burrows, and I'm out of here for the day.
This has been a DLTBB production. For any questions, concerns, ideas, or advice, message Dakota at DLTBB on Twitter and DLTBB on Instagram. You can also message us on the I Love the Indianapolis Colts Facebook page.